It's Monday. Happy Monday. It is Monday and I'm back at work, so I should know this, but the days still blend no matter what. So you guys know, first off, Nicole Brown, aka Nickel and Carter. Thank you. Second off, thank you for chiming in, and thank you for everyone's feedback. I greatly appreciate you. And yes, warming and melting my heart and giving me words of encouragement, and I hope that I'm encouraging you guys as well. So I've been kind of on and off talking about, a little bit about women empowerment and how women should get in the gyms and how empowering it is to learn a martial art such as jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, wrestling. Oh God, guys, help me out here. Muay Thai, karate, judo. Oh, judo's a good one. It's really painful. It feels really good. And goodness me, did I say taekwondo? There's so many arts. And I want to encourage you to go to a gym and just try it out, because you might not like one gym, but you might like another, and you might fit into one, but you might not fit into another. So I really want to encourage all the women on my page, if you're not in an art, and it doesn't matter how old you are, there are like 70 somethings that are just starting an art as a white belt, and it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're doing something to challenge yourself, you're doing something to learn a skill set, and you're doing something to protect yourself. And had I known jiu-jitsu and a little bit of Muay Thai and kickboxing when I was younger, I guarantee that half of my problems would not have been problems in my early adult life. So with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about domestic violence, and this is going to go in a big circle, so bear with me. According to the CDC, domestic violence is physical, sexual, stalking, psychological aggression, to include coercive acts by a current or former intimate partner. So if you don't know what a coercive act is, it's someone trying to make you do something that you don't want to do, okay? Also stating that family and domestic violence abuse behaviors are one in which an individual attempts to gain control and power over another, and or is successful at gaining control and power over another. Every 15 seconds in the United States, there's a domestic violence occurrence. This is between men and women. 10 million men and women a year experience some form of domestic violence, as the previously mentioned definition by the CDC. 1 in 4 women lose their life daily, and 5% of men lose their life annually from a domestic violence issue. 1 in 4 women experience domestic violence on a given day, and 1 in 9 men also experience domestic violence. According to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, since COVID-19 has occurred, 951 calls out of the 2,000 calls per day from ages 10 to 24-year-olds have been reported due to COVID. And the citations are in the description, but the stories that I saw regarding the COVID domestic violences just made me so irate and pissed off, quite honestly, that somebody would literally throw a loved one out of the house or out of a window because they tested positive for COVID-19. There's a few things that I can't tolerate, and this is one of them. So why are people programmed for domestic violence, or why do people act on domestic violence? Aside from the obvious, they're assholes. Pardon my French, but not so pardon. Anger management issues. That is an individual problem with an individual, it's your responsibility to take on your own anger issues. It's nobody else's fault for making you angry other than your own. Learn how to take a breath, and walk away. Jealousy issues. Self-explanatory. If you have jealousy issues, you don't need to be in a relationship. Low self-esteem. That's something that you can work with a therapist on. But again, if you don't have confidence and happiness within yourself, you should not be with anybody. Feeling inferior. This happens when one partner is working towards goals, dreams, and desires, and the other partner is basically complacent in their life and not working toward anything. Or sometimes there is a situation where a man may feel maybe these times right now, the woman has a good job and the man loses his job because of situations, and then he, feels inferior, like it's a man's job to do this. I've kind of been in a similar situation, and the response was always, it's a man's job to do this, and that's just a pre-programming type thing, and it's okay. We're like in an equal-ish kind of world, not really, but relationship-wise, both should be contributing. Personal opinion. Psychological disorders. These are not as controllable. However, there is treatment on various psychological disorders. There are medications. There are therapists, psychiatrists. There are many avenues that you can take to learn how to work with yourself and learn your own mannerisms and behavior before you take that step on actually committing in a relationship. So you know your triggers and you know what makes you angry and you know what sets you off so that you don't harm somebody else. Learn behaviors. This is what we call the generational cycles. And you yourself are in charge of breaking those generational cycles. The moment you turn 17, 18, depending on what state you're in, you make a conscious decision on if you're going to allow your past to dictate your future. You can say, this happened to me, this happened to me, this happened to me, so it's okay if I do this to X, Y, and Z person. No, it's not okay. It's not okay to continue that cycle. It's your job to break that cycle, recognize it was wrong, and continue to move forward in a positive way. You have to be the cycle breaker. And then also substance abuse. Substance abuse is also a form of mental illness. So especially alcoholism, you genuinely do need treatment for that, and you can actually die from alcoholism if you try and quit cold turkey. That is the one substance abuse that can kill you if you've been doing it long enough and you just quit cold turkey. Any other drug, studies and statistics show that after 3 days, it's just that withdrawal process. You can come out of it. So what can you do about it? Unfortunately, all you can do is report it. And as a friend, all you can do is talk to that individual and say, hey, this isn't right. And then you go through the, I love him, I love her, and that whole process. Guys, love is not abuse. Love is not pain. Love is not, it's not harming someone that you claim to love. Love is euphoric. Love is beautiful. Love is growing together. Love is building together. Love is understanding that a female has male friends, that a male has female friends, and that doesn't mean that they're cheating on you, and that doesn't mean that you need to be jealous. It's just, we're all human. We have friends of many different areas, and it's okay to have friends outside of your relationship as long as you're faithful and open about it and communicating. As a matter of fact, 40% of domestic violence victims never report that they're going through a domestic violence situation, and 44% of the victims of a domestic homicide were in the hospital within 2 years of their murder. So if you really want help, you need to reach out to your friends, to a therapist, to the National Domestic Violence Hotline. I believe there's a military line also that I put on there, and one more, and I can't remember off the top of my head. And also the kids. The kids are watching, and domestic violence isn't just between a man and a woman. It also includes the children that are watching, child abuse, elderly abuse, LGBTQ plus community. Matter of fact, transgender individuals experience almost double the domestic abuse situations that anyone in the LGBTQ plus community does. And 90% of children that are exposed to domestic violence, 90% of children are direct witnesses to domestic violence, and children who are exposed to domestic violence often end up being a victim themselves because they don't know how to get out of that situation. There's also pregnant females on top of that. And in the elderly, there's 1 in 15 cases. As a matter of fact, 10% of nursing home staff self-reported physical abuse and or neglect on an elderly individual. So domestic abuse does not just contain a relationship between two individuals. It goes through children, elderly, LGBTQ plus community, pregnant women, and the good thing about pregnant women is that they're in the doctor often enough. But again, if you're not vocal about it, there's nothing they can do. But you do risk, if you're not vocal about it in general and there's children involved, you do risk your children being taken away until you can get the help and assistance that you need, because they say that you're not clear of mind to make a just decision. I think that's the right word, to be able to protect yourself and the children. So you also risk having your children taken away if you're so in love that you can't see that you're in a perpetual cycle of violence. So that's what I have on domestic violence, guys. With martial arts, as women, you learn how to stand in your power. You learn self-discipline, and a male learns self-discipline. And you feel empowered when you start to learn the techniques. It is a slow roll. It is such a slow roll, and you get so frustrated, especially when you're sparring or you're rolling and, people are tapping you out left and right, or people are tagging you left and right. And then one day it just clicks and all your techniques come together, and then you start to feel uplifted and empowered, and you start to stand in that power. And then with that, you start to make friends, and you start to make a gym family, and you start to be able to communicate with people, and they start to help you, which is why I'm pushing and advocating for everyone to go to the gyms when they open. Because I gotta say, I wouldn't be who I am today if the fight world was not a part of my life and everyone involved was not a part of my life. It was an amazing journey, and it will continue to be an amazing journey when I get home. But I gotta say, I probably wouldn't have done what I had done in my life, leaving the situation, if I didn't have the right people, the strong people in my corner to kind of talk me through it and work me through it. So I encourage you all, again, if you're in a domestic situation, please reach out, schedule a plan, make a plan for yourself, and do it in a safe way. Reach out to a therapist or the Domestic Violence Hotline. If you know somebody, and I've lost friends because I couldn't stay up till 2 a.m. anymore with phone calls of come get me. Finally, I just had enough, and I called the police, and I lost some really good friends. And, that I don't feel bad about it because I did what was right in my soul. So sometimes you have to make those choices and those decisions, and that's the way it rolls. So, but I love you guys, and thank you for tuning in. I have homework and still a workout. Homework's due by 11:59, and it's 9 o'clock my time. I haven't even started. I don't know what it is. So I hope this was helpful. I love y'all so much. Reach out if you have more information. Go ahead and drop it in the comments, or you know where to go. Everything's in the citations. Mwah.